Welcome back to another episode of A2 the show. Today we have Sierra Blacc with us. Sierra Blacc is a Canadian independent singer slash songwriter based in Toronto. She's known for her contemporary R&B and pop sound that blends classic soul influences with modern production. Raised in a musically inclined family that immigrated from Portugal, she learned multiple instruments from a young age and was inspired early on by artists like Whitney Houston. She entered the music industry in her early 20s during the shift to digital platforms, later taking a hiatus before returning with original releases and stylized performances. Her work explores themes of love, heartbreak, and self empowerment, including her album Dark Side of the Moonchild, singles such as Thank You, I Don't Mind, Come On Over, as well as R&B reinterpretations of popular songs like Always Be My Baby and If I Ain't Got You. Also, Sarah is a streamer, and where she's on the side she streams, Fortnite and other games, and also likes to delve into some interesting conspiracy theories. And the first one that we did want to talk to you about was the dead internet theory. And what would you, what can you share
Wow.
about us about that
Okay.
theory?
Oh, the dead internet theory. That's an interesting one. So the dead internet theory, if you guys don't know, it argues that a vast majority of online content is manufactured, is actually AI, is bot. I mean, I now with the unloading of AI, and it's just so like in our faces. It's definitely a real thing. I think it's really hard to get like human interactions online a lot of the time
Hmm.
because people are just going for that shock factor. The people are just basically reacting for as a performance instead of just like communicating with each other and having an actual discussion. So
Hmm.
it's really hard to kind of like separate who's a bot and who is not, because even a lot of humans act like bots and make bot like comments. You know what I mean? So I think algorithms change human behavior and people are starting to perform for engagement instead of like
Wow.
communicating authentically. And I think that's a big
Right.
issue because how are we supposed to get anywhere and discuss anything progressively um, if we're just basically shooting out whatever we think is going to give that shock factor and get that reaction from the audience, right?
Right.
Sometimes it feels like people online stopped talking to each other and they're like performing at each other. So it's really weird. It's really weird.
Wow.
And it also
Yeah,
it's like also influenced by the audience as well, because this is something that
absolutely.
exists within the streaming industry where, I mean, we were looking at an article which said that a senior staff within the Twitch, he's like senior staff manager within the Twitch,
Hmm.
was kind of encouraging people to do view botting, is encouraging streamers
Right.
to use bots for their audience, which is kind of ridiculous at that point. I mean, what's the point? You're just streaming to no one at that when you're doing that.
Right. And it doesn't make sense to me because it's literally against their community guidelines and their terms of service. So like I don't understand why you would basically devalue your platform by saying, yeah, like,
Wow.
use bots to get onto the algorithm. It doesn't make sense. I think the resolution in that, situation would be to fix the algorithm, in my opinion. But you know, I guess I'm not the manager of Twitch, so I can't really say. But it's really weird that there's that difference of opinion. And it makes it really hard for smaller streamers to get noticed because like a lot of small
Right.
streamers, maybe they don't have the budget to botting can be expensive. And then also
Hmm.
it kind of messes with people's, again, it messes with people's value, because if a
Mm-hmm.
big streamer is botting and he's getting all of these sponsorships, then how is a smaller streamer with smaller
Yeah.
numbers supposed to even compete? Like it's impossible, and it really doesn't do the sponsorship any favors either, because what are you getting out of it? It's not even real. It's fake. It doesn't make sense.
Right. And then that poses like the question that pops in my head is like, what's the point of the internet if everything's just fake at that point? If the
Right.
audience is fake, the content is fake, who? What is it used for? What's the point of it then?
Yeah, exactly. It's true. I think a lot of creators struggle with like, how do I make good content and how do I survive the algorithm and how do I compete with these bigger streamers? And I think that that goes back to like the shock factor. Like, people are
Mm,
doing shocking things and crazy things online just to get the views because that's the only way. I mean, how else do you compete?
So
Right?
the algorithm
that's
is changing who you are as a person in a way.
yeah,
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so. It definitely changes people's personalities. I mean, to an extent, you can only be authentically yourself for so long before there's some kind of performance added to it, you know?
right. And this kind of also it creates its own lifestyle for, people who are in that industry, for influencers, for content creators. You're saying that they have to do that
Hmm.
shock factor. They have to create content that not always resonates with who they are as individuals. They kind of have to
Right.
step out of who they originally are to make something that attracts attention, because that's the key currency
Absolutely.
in.
Absolutely. The internet rewards extremes, right? The more exaggerated you become, the more attention you get. So it just goes hand in hand.
which is
Wow, how
which
how
is
have you
kind
been
of
able to like maintain
scary.
your authenticity during this?
How have I been able to maintain my authenticity? I mean, I keep it pretty authentic. Um, Obviously, I feel like I have to give more energy. So even on days when I'm like not really in the mood or like not really feeling the energy, I kind of have to like pump myself up a bit and kind of like give that energy to the camera and to the audience, even if I'm
Mm,
not really feeling it like in the moment. And then, I start to feel it after, and then I get like, in the mood and the vibe and the energy, and it kind of just like carries out. But yeah, definitely, being authentic and true to yourself is a struggle when you're constantly trying to like maintain and hold attention. People's attention spans are very short. So
Mm.
yeah,
that's another thing,
it's
right?
very true. Um, Something that I was curious about is, so how do you balance your faith with also, the content that you're producing and the audience that's watching you? Because the internet is filled of trolls and, people who are just have a terrible mindset or are inappropriate, and it can
Hmm.
take a toll on you as a content creator, and especially as a streamer, because you're going for hours,
Hmm.
trying to stay yourself and also produce content, and then at the same time
Hmm.
it can affect you. So I wanted to know about how your faith kind of balances that, or and how do you keep up?
um I'm not gonna lie, it is very difficult, especially with some of the nasty comments that people leave. I just try to laugh it off. I just try to break it down to like they're just projecting. So I try not
Hmm.
to take it personally, but again, that can be very difficult sometimes. I keep my relationship with God and my faith private. I keep it separate from the online world. I think it's something that is private to me. I don't think it's something meant for public consumption. So I keep that part of me
Okay.
very private. Um, but I mean, the online world constantly asks, how are you perceived, right? And like faith asks you who you are when nobody's watching. And I think that that's the most important part is who
Wow.
are you when nobody's watching? Like, that's
Hmm.
super important.
Wow.
So do you mind us
And
asking
how do
who are you
you
when no one's watching? Oh, go
yeah,
ahead,
go
Anna.
ahead.
Um, who am I when no one's watching? I'm still basically the same. I mean, my relationship with God has definitely improved in this last year. I've definitely grown closer to Him. I started reading the Bible again, um, and so I'm just privately. I love my solitude. I love my solitude. I love my private space and my private moments, and just being
Wow.
with myself and reflecting, um, and praying and reading, and that's just basically it. Um, Yeah.
That's a
I'm
big
just a I'm a
contrast.
simple girl. I don't know. I'm very conscious that like everything has a conscious, right? So I know that
Yeah.
even just this mug has consciousness, okay? So like whatever I do in my private time, God and the universe, it knows. You know what I mean? So I try and keep that in my mind at all times. And that's just how I am. I don't know.
Fair enough. Ali, I interrupted you
Yeah.
earlier.
Wow, thanks for sharing. That's actually quite deep, and it shows a bit of an insight to how all the streamers we sometimes see, they might have a persona online, but that's not really who they are deep down.
No. And I can't stand the streamers who like preach Jesus and it's like they're talking about God and faith and it's like, girl, I know what you do on your own time. Like what is going on?
And
Like
then they promote gambling. Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
I'm like, what the it's crazy, but to each their own, I
Do you
guess. You know,
ever,
Everyone's
it is
on their
what it
own
is.
do you
journey.
ever think,
Hmm.
right? Sorry, going on that point, do you ever consider potentially talking about that kind of content from your perspective, like in a positive light? Because, sometimes the people who are actually doing or trying to go on have a good journey with their faith, um,
Hmm.
don't share they don't share it publicly, and I feel like those people
Exactly.
should, if anything, even if it's not like the perfect trip or the perfect journey, I think the trial of it or them trying, to become a better version of
Hmm.
themselves is actually something that needs to be seen by others, or maybe could be motivational or inspiring for other people who are watching the content as well. I'm not saying it as in like, oh, this is one way to get attention, but it is the element of vulnerability when you're doing that, for me at least,
Hmm.
is an interesting thing to see so that maybe someone else could learn, from that perspective, just by watching that kind of content.
Right. Right.
I
That's
don't
a
know.
good
I'm just
point. I
spitting out an idea.
honestly No, it's a great thought. I agree with you, but I also think that it depends on the delivery and the messenger because depending on who delivers the message and how they deliver it, it could either,
Hmm.
convert somebody to Christianity or whatever faith, or it could completely turn them away. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So it really depends. And I feel like that's why I don't share my faith online so much is because I don't want to turn somebody away. I don't want to be that bad messenger or to have a bad delivery um and
Hmm.
turn people away. That's my thing. I feel like and like a lot of people that are very Christian and into the Christianity and faith and God, a lot of them can come off like preachy to me and it just gives me a little bit of an ick and I never
Hmm.
want to be like the preacher, you know what I mean, who's like I don't know. It just,
Or a
yeah, I feel like that
grifter.
turns people, yeah, like I feel
Hmm.
like that turns people away too. So if I did do it, it would have to be like authentic and it would have to feel right and the timing would have to be right. But to those of to those that do it, no judgment. I mean, like, do you spread the word and the power of God? Like, may God be with you and light your path. But for
Yeah.
now, I want to keep it private and explore my relationship with God privately instead of making it for public consumption.
Yes, that's a lot of
Yeah.
responsibility. There's
It
a lot
is.
we're all dealing with.
100%.
We're not messengers, and we're just trying to make it through our day to day, and just trying to make art and stuff that we enjoy expressing ourselves in. I guess in that way,
Hmm.
right through your music and through your streaming, I don't know what is your main goal with music, and how have you been able to express yourself through music differently than streaming?
Music is more creative. Music is more time consuming. I put more thought into it. Um Whereas streaming, it's just I'm just there to entertain and have a good time and like vibe out with my people and my community. It's two different sides of me. Like I feel like both are very personal, but the music, it just it delivers the message differently. It feels different. Like, I mean, I could talk about my experiences on stream that I've had in love and relationships, and I could do all that. But if you listen to the music, it's two completely different things, right? Yeah.
Wow. And does that dead internet theory relate to music as well too? When we're looking at
Ooh.
Spotify streams, is that all fake the same way Twitch streams are?
A lot of them are. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of major artists, I'm not going to name any names, but they definitely use bots. I know for a fact, I used to know a guy. So back in the day when Instagram, the Instagram botting was hot back in the day, like 10 years ago. I knew a guy who was living in LA and he had a bot company, and that was his company. He was providing bots to these Instagram models to heighten their numbers. And then eventually he got a contract with major labels to do botting service for major labels. So that's where all the streaming bots come from. The service was always there, it just changed. You know what I mean? So now there's bots for streaming music, there's bots for streamers who are doing live streams, there's bots there's still bots on Instagram, but yeah, it's definitely there. People like to inflate their numbers, especially the record labels, because if you inflate numbers, you're creating hype. It's like back in the day, instead of faking streams, the labels would go out and buy all of the albums or all of the singles from every record store to create the hype. You know what I mean? So it's the same kind of idea. It's the same thing. It's just, it's changed a little bit. It's modernized, I guess you could say.
So
wow. And
does that mean like
go side?
Does that mean like the only way to succeed in the music industry is either to have to spend a lot of money or to have like the right connections?
I think it's both. I think you need to spend a lot of money and you need the right connections. Talent matters to a certain extent, but at the end of the day, if you don't have the money to put into marketing, promotion, radio, streaming, even just uploading your music costs money monthly. You know what I mean? So if you don't have the budget and you don't have the connections and you don't have the team, I mean, you can pretty much do it till you're blue in the face, but there's so many people doing it that it's hard, again, to manipulate the algorithm to push you to the front. Like if you're not getting the views, if you're not getting the plays, if you're not getting people sharing your stuff, if you're not getting people doing TikToks, if you're not, you know what I mean, then you're kind of just putting your creation out into the ether and hoping that somebody listens to it or sees it. But you definitely have to have a plan, to get that music out there so that people can listen to it. You need different marketing campaigns, you need promotional campaigns, you need radio campaigns, you need music videos, you need content, you need so many things, and it's hard to do all of those things as one person. Believe me, I've tried it. It's almost impossible.
It's overwhelming.
It's hard to keep up with everything. It's very overwhelming, and the burnout is definitely real.
But what about people like, for example, the success stories such as Ed Sheeran or Adele? I mean, these people came from like, a poorer background, and they were able to make it. Maybe they're, a small sample size, but there are cases where it does happen.
There might be, but I would be interested to know who they're related to, who their family knows, what connection did they have? Because it from going to nothing to some, it's just, I need to know, like, who do you know? Who does your family know? What relationships were there beforehand? Because a lot of people like to say, oh, I did it all by myself and I came from nothing and became something, but there's always a backstory. There's always more to the picture.
Yeah, you did it by yourself. Yeah, of course you did. Yeah, your dad. Steven Spielberg.
Exactly. Right, or something. Like even Sabrina Carpenter. Sabrina Carpenter, was on the come up and everyone was like, "Oh my god, she did it all by herself." No, her aunt actually got her to that position. Her aunt is the voice of Bart Simpson on The Simpsons. So it's like, bro, you didn't do it all by yourself. Your auntie helped you. Like, what? It doesn't.
Okay, I mean, fair point. There are cases, yes, there's like, your family support does make a difference. But what about making your own luck? Because there are artists out there who, you know, they're constantly on the grind, they're doing it themselves. And then maybe the opportunity arises where they meet the right person to kind of help them,
Right.
scale upwards.
Right.
Because like not everyone comes
Exactly.
from that background, not everyone has that family. Yes, definitely you do need a support group, but
Hmm.
to a certain degree, I feel like you can eventually find a way to create it for yourself. Because there's also like comedians, when you
Yeah.
stand up comedians, they're doing the open mics, they're building up their content, they're improving their performance and their talent, and then
Hmm.
eventually they meet other comedians, and then those guys kind of connect them with others. They bring them onto spots to other performances, and it kind of
Hmm.
it builds up. You build momentum for yourself in a way.
Right. Well, from what I've heard, the comedy scene, it's very like there's a huge community in the comedy scene. This is just what I've heard. Like comedians and
Mm,
people in that scene are very like they have a community. They're very helpful. They want to help others like make it and get on. And there's like I said, there's more community. Whereas like in the music industry, it's so competitive and it's so saturated.
Mm.
Um, and people are just they're very intimidated by somebody else's talents, and I think that that's also another thing that makes it very difficult. There's a lot of gatekeeping in the music industry.
oh,
um
okay.
so yeah, so you definitely have to have some kind of relationship with either somebody in your family has relationships, or you meet somebody along the way and the stars align and things start to happen. But doing it all on your own without any help or any relationships or anything, it's not realistic. It's not, because the gatekeeping
So
in the
can you
music industry is definitely a real thing.
so can you tell us more about your personal experience on when you were doing it all by yourself, and you were doing all the promo, you were doing the songs, you were performing, creating the songs, and then doing all the background work as well. What was that like,
Hmm.
and what was it like working with producers who were, you know, building it up for you or trying to?
um it was very stressful. Very, very stressful. I felt like, well, at one point I was doing a single and a music video. I was releasing a single and a music video every single month.
Wow.
So keeping up with
Oh,
that
wow.
was like insane, because as soon as I was done recording and like recording the single and doing the music video, it's like I had to start recording another song and doing another music video. And I felt like if I had that momentum and I kept that consistency, like I was told by people in the music industry, that I would get
Yeah.
somewhere with that I would get some attention, that I would start to make waves, that, I would start to get calls from labels and all of these things. And I didn't. And I don't know if that was God protecting me. Maybe it was. I mean, I did have a couple of offers that I denied because at the time I didn't have that leverage. See, that's another thing that people don't understand, is that you need leverage when these record labels approach you. So if you don't already have the
Mm,
numbers, if you don't already have the audience, if you don't already have the fans, you're going to get a terrible contract. It doesn't matter who you are. You basically have to build that momentum before a record label will even respect you, you know? But it was
right.
very difficult. It was very overwhelming, very stressful. It cost a lot of money. But I loved the art and I loved doing what I did, and I had fun doing it, and it was part of my healing process as well. So I don't regret it. I would do it again. But I recommend that if people do want to get into the music industry, like just be very wary that it takes a lot and you need a lot of people around you to make sure that it works. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, and
Yeah, of
it
course.
is like it's it is sad that like, these labels don't longer take the risk on like new talent. They kind of they're forcing the talent to kind of do the work for them. They have to bring their own audience, they have to bring their own community, and then say like, oh, can you like work with me because now that I have people. When
Right.
you might think at that point, like once you have your own community and you have your own support group, do you necessarily need a label? Do you necessarily need to work with a big company? Because you've got your own momentum. You already have your the waves that are working for you, and you're promoting yourself on social media, which is
Right.
that's like arguably the new thing for content creators and musicians. They can just push their own content. They don't have to go through
Hmm.
big companies or big labels.
That's true, but in pushing your own content, you have to fight with the saturated market. Whereas if you have a label behind
Mm.
you, they bring you to the forefront, and that's the advantage right there. You know what I mean? They make sure that you're on the radio. Radio alone costs about probably $1 million just to make sure that you're on every radio station
Whoa.
across Canada and the
Wow.
United States for a year.
Holy.
So it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Yeah.
So
Oh my
what's kind
god.
of like the back
Yeah.
what's the breakdown for the finances then? If like radio is $1 million, let's say also um TV or any kind of advertisements, what's kind of what's the amount or the funding amount that a musician is expected to look at? What's the number?
Oh, 1 million plus for sure, easily. That's just for one song.
Oh, oh
That
my
is mind
God.
blowing.
Wow.
That's just for one
I
song.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that
I
is
mean,
crazy.
radio isn't even really radio. Radio is actually advertising. Like, people don't
Wow.
understand that radio is an advertisement. When you hear a song on the radio, that's an advertisement. And the labels are paying for that advertisement. They're paying for that steady rotation of that song 6 times a day. That's the advertisement. So
Oh,
radio
all
stations aren't
right.
just
So
playing music, they're advertising.
yeah, I mean, I get
I thought
yeah,
it was a
it's not
DJ.
easy to get $1 million.
No, you have to get your music approved by the program coordinator of the radio station. So unless the program coordinator either says yes or you pay him, which is most likely you have to pay him because it's very rare that a program coordinator, unless it's like an indie radio station, they'll probably say no. So like the way that you would want to go as an independent artist is by going to independent radio stations and hoping to God that the program coordinator says yes and plays your song once. Like, but other than that, you're paying the radio stations and the program coordinators. Yeah, it's big money.
Wow.
That's the only reason radio stations exist. I mean, nobody really even listens to the radio anymore. You know what I mean? Like, so,
Yeah, that's true. Except
right?
unless you're like, in the car, you're driving. That's the only time I do listen to radio. Yeah, so makes sense.
I mean, maybe, but most people,
Um,
even then, they're still listening to their Spotify, right? Or their Apple Music or whatever
True.
playlists, or you know.
What's it
So,
like for you to then do talk about more interesting noticing topics, let's say, um, which is very like the music industry does not want you to notice.
No.
So how's that journey been for you? And yeah, why did you decide to take your content in that direction as well too?
What do you mean? Can you just clarify?
I don't want to say like conspiracies, but noticing.
Noticing things. I
That's what
mean,
I mean by noticing. I don't know what to say.
I've been noticing things for a while. When I graduated from university, I graduated with a criminology degree, and
Mm,
a year after I graduated, I kind of had an epiphany, and I was like, "Oh my God, I was brainwashed." Like, there were 3 main tenets that they were pushing pillars or three main, ideas in the whole program that I realized that they were pushing. And it was, there's too many of us, there's not enough resources, and people need to be controlled. And I was like, oh my God, something's going to happen. I don't know what the heck is going to happen, but like, this is crazy and I don't want to be a part of it. So I've been noticing things for a while. I just recently started speaking out about it because I just felt called to. I felt like it was my time. I've always been a truth seeker. I've always been a seeker of knowledge. And so it just felt right. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try something and I'm going to see if it resonates with people, and why not? You know what I mean? And it did. And so I've just kept going with it. Yeah.
So what kind of things have you been noticing? Is like the cycle of the war, virus, things that are happening, like, COVID, and then almost reaching World War III, and then now hantavirus, and now another war potentially after that.
There's
this
a
is
lot.
what I'm
Basically,
noticing.
the larger picture that I'm noticing is that it's just a huge Ponzi scheme. That's what it looks like to me. There's a lot of money laundering. There's a lot of moving of resources from, the lower classes to the upper classes. And what the plan may be, I don't entirely know. I mean, there's a lot of speculation, especially with the Zionists and the Torah and the Talmud. I'm not going to say anything on that, but yeah, there's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of speculation that everything is tied together, which is a scary thing. And I think that if we want to see any change, if we want a better world for our children and generations after us, I think now is the time that we have to do something and say something. Otherwise, it's going to be too late.
Right. You reminded me of that joke by Shane Gillis on the roast of Kevin Hart, when he was like talking about Chelsea Handler. He's like,
oh my
Chelsea
gosh.
Handler is a Zionist. I'm not going to say if that's good or bad. That's like the first unaffected.
It's true though. It's true though. And I think a lot of people don't understand the difference between Judaism and Zionism. And it's especially the Christian Zionists get me, especially. I'm just like, what are you doing? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, these people are just so disillusioned and brainwashed, and I can't. I don't know.
So how does that come with your music industry, right? Because the music industry, you're not supposed to really talk about these topics, and people who do talk about these topics get in a lot of controversy and big trouble usually.
I mean, I'm an independent artist, so I can say and do whatever the heck I want. I'm not
Amazing.
responding to Lucian Grange or whatever his name is. He's not my boss. So yeah, it doesn't really affect me, honestly. I'm good.
Hey, that's amazing though.
Yeah.
What gave you the courage then to, what made you start then on this path, and what was the moment for you that changed it? So that you started with the truth-seeking journey.
I think the moment was when I really started to realize how socially engineered we really were. Through music, through movies, through everything. Even just the fact that like for instance, what's the guy's name who just recently died? He passed away. The OnlyFans guy, the guy who owned OnlyFans.
Okay, yes.
Oh,
yeah. When I found out that him and some rabbi owned Pornhub, I was just like, what? Like, this is crazy. Like this is how deep it goes, to the point where they've literally infiltrated like every aspect of our lives just to bring us down, like, and to degrade us and to ruin us. I was just like, I can't do this. Like, somebody needs to say something. Somebody needs to put the pieces together, and somebody needs to at least like provoke the discussion, provoke thought, do something, maybe not. And I wanted to do it in my own way, which was the holy fuck chat thing, right? Sorry for swearing, but
Yeah.
Okay.
some
No, it's
people
okay.
might not like that, and I get that a lot. They're like, oh my god, your content would be so much better if you didn't do the holy fuck chat. But it's like, that is my hook, that is the shock factor, that is what is going to bring you in, to make you sit and wait and listen to what I have to say. My delivery might
Right.
not be like the most polished, it might not be like, high production quality or anything like that, or high editing, but I don't think it needs to be. I think as
It's
long as the
authentic.
message is there, it's you know what I mean, and that's all that matters.
Right. It's your authentic self, and if it's working, then why stop? Who cares? Who cares if people are hating on it?
Exactly.
Fuck them. You know.
Look, they're just
Uh,
they're fans anyway. They're just jealous that they couldn't do what I do, and that they don't have the courage to do what I
hell,
do, because it does take courage. You get attacked a lot. Like
right.
recently, a lot of people have been saying things about my Princess Diana post, like, oh, it's fake news, it's fake news. So I went out of my way to buy this book,
Wow.
and literally within the first literally within the first 10 pages, it talks about how Mossad was involved in Princess Diana's death. So I mean, like, you can't
So,
deny it. The research is out
so
there. You
you've
just
just
got you
brought up
just
a
got to do
very
it for
like a
yourself,
very interesting point. Like, we definitely want to know more about this. So could you tell us a bit more about how the Mossad was involved with Princess Diana's assassination
Well, I'm just
and
starting to get
why?
into it, but right now there's a Mossad agent called Maurice, and he's meeting up with this guy who owns the Ritz, and he's basically trying to turn this Ritz owner as like an informant, basically. And they're starting to talk about
Mm,
how Princess Diana was going to go to that, I don't know, she was supposed to go to that Ritz. And so I'm assuming that Maurice, the Mossad agent, is going to utilize the Ritz owner as an informer
right.
to get information on Princess Diana and her boyfriend at the time. I can't remember his name, but yeah. So that's, I literally just started reading it last night. Um, but yeah, it's just funny
It's
how
crazy
people
that
will attack things online and say it's fake news,
yeah.
or say, oh, you're fake news and da da da, but they don't even take the time to research it themselves.
It's crazy that when you're talking about the Mossad agent, that he knew that she's going to be at that hotel. Like, he has the information. So that means there's potentially
Hmm.
also a leak within Princess Diana's party that's supplying this information
Right.
to the Mossad agent, or to Mossad, the agency in general. So their network of
Correct. Yeah.
like information is scary, that they can
It
reach
is.
they can reach this information so easily. And like us
Yeah.
Lebanese, we understand
That's
that. We've witnessed that. It's like, especially with that pager attack on Hezbollah. This was a plan that had been in the making for years, and the fact that they
wild.
were able to get that far was insane. Like, no one saw that
Yeah.
coming.
I mean, the fact that they've been able to infiltrate the American government is crazy. Like, with APAC and the lobbying, and Netanyahu basically running the American government. Trump is just the puppet, and it's crazy. It's wild. That's how infiltrated it is, though.
Yep.
And people don't realize it's scary. Nobody should have that amount of control or infiltration or anything. Like, it's just
Hmm.
wild. It's a wild world we live in.
Woo. Do you think the trust in institutions is gone now? Like,
I
how our
think so.
parents used to believe in doctors and used to believe in the government and used to believe in, I don't know,
Yeah.
CNN or something like that. It's all gone forever.
It's definitely gone. Even my own parents, they used to, like, they don't believe the government. They don't believe doctors anymore. They know it's all bullshit. Because, like, I keep telling them, I'm like, guys, like, this is what's happening. And they're just like, oh my God. Like, my mom is so heartbroken with the Canadian government. She's like, this is
Mm,
not the government or the country that, like, I came to. You know
Mm.
what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's just completely different.
I mean, it's hard because you get raised and promised like that there's a system there, that works. This is the rules, these are the steps. If you follow these steps,
Yep.
you can make it in life, you can become successful, or at least have a happy life where you're protected and sheltered. And then once you get more
Right.
informed and you get more educated on the topic, or you start just like noticing things, you start seeing the cracks,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're just like, wow, there's a lot of people that have just taken advantage of the system, and they are using it to
Yep.
exploit others, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't know what to do anymore. Like you're kind of stuck. It's like, should I trust in the system, or should I just do my own thing? So what would you recommend?
I recommend doing your own thing. Do not trust the system. Always question everything. Always stay curious. Ask questions. Don't be scared. And yeah, just don't trust the system, because the system is literally there to screw you over. I feel like the system was created for people to take advantage of the system. Otherwise, how else are we here today? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel like the people at the top created the system to continuously control and manipulate and take advantage of that system. And they don't care if people beneath them get hurt or suffer. I mean, Trump the other day was just saying that he doesn't care about Americans' financial situation. He cares more about Iran and the nuclear weapons that they potentially have there, and he doesn't care about the American status or the Americans' financial status and how they're suffering. And it just breaks my heart. It breaks my heart.
Wow.
And-
Um,
Yeah.
can I ask you about the music industry then, and all the narratives that we hear about different artists, and how much of it is fake and how much of it is real? Maybe I'll give you some examples and maybe you can pick one, but like
Sure.
maybe Kanye West's a whole discussion nowadays, or Michael Jackson, or let's say even Justin Bieber, or even like I know Britney Spears, stuff like that, where the labels have them seem crazy,
Mm-hmm.
but that usually happens after they start getting political, or talking about Chapel Roan, stuff like that, talking about their noticing as well. Any
Right.
takes on that?
I think when artists start to speak their mind, and when labels realize that they can't control their artist, the next best thing is to ruin their reputation. I mean, they either kill their reputation or they kill them physically, and that's just how it's been throughout
Mm-hmm.
history. We saw it with Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was actually trying to help the children. He was trying to save the children from Epstein. He was at Epstein's Island trying to get information and act as a witness or some kind of informer or something. And he was actually trying to get the children from Epstein's Island to the Neverland Ranch as a
Wow.
sanctuary to save them. And the labels ruined his reputation. They made him look like a pedophile. They had people come up with allegations, and it was a whole disaster. And even his dependency on the pain meds and the
Mm-hmm.
drugs and everything is so sad. It really makes me think that, like, I don't know, like the conspiracy hat goes on there for a second, and I'm like, maybe that accident was a setup. Maybe they wanted him to be high on and addicted to pain med. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Wow.
I wouldn't put it past these people, because that's the kind of stuff that they do. It's diabolical, really. But that's how they turn him out to be the bad guy. Oh, he's addicted to drugs. He's a pedophile. He's this, he's that. No, like, he was in severe pain from that accident. There was a lot of nerve damage, and he would never hurt a child. He was a child himself. Like, he was just so fascinated by the childlike, world. Like, he was just obsessed with with Peter Pan and Tinkerbell and the Neverland, and just like, he was so fully immersed in his own inner child that I don't it's crazy that anybody would ever think that he would hurt a child. It's crazy. And now that the truth is starting to come out, I think people are starting to realize that they castrated an innocent man. And I hope they feel bad. I hope they feel terrible for it, because he didn't deserve any of that.
Mm-hmm. It's much worse to, put an innocent man in punishment or in prison than it is to free a guilty man.
Right. And I think
Right.
they also knew, I mean, he had his tour, that his huge tour that he was planning, and I think the record labels knew the kind of impact he was going to have on the audience and the world with his shows.
Right.
Again, music is energy, and like his frequencies and just like his sound and just everything, it was just so healing to the masses. His message, his everything, it was so healing to the masses. And I think if he would have done that world tour, it would have helped change the world. And I don't think the record labels wanted that. I don't.
Well, I mean, you're right. His music was definitely healing, and you would see also in the audience the way they loved him and the way they expressed it as well. It's like
Yeah.
I've watched a few of his like shows online, and when I was looking at the audience, I've never seen anything like that, anything similar. There's maybe the closest thing would be like Queen, the band Queen, potentially, but
Right.
other than these two, like I don't think there's anyone that comes close to having an audience that engaged and that expressing of their love towards them. And I remember there was this one show that I'm pretty sure is very famous, when one of this audience members just ran up to the stage and hugged him, and he kept singing while he was holding her.
Yes.
Right? And
Yeah.
it's crazy to see. I mean, when you see that moment, you're just, that there's just a very strong connection with him and his audience. And for him, for people to say that he would potentially hurt his audience, it goes completely against what his character was. And
Exactly.
something I want to like kind of segue to is when you were saying about the stuff about the people who are working in the shadows, kind of destroying our society. The evidence is coming out now, and the truth is coming out, especially with now, for example, Michael Jackson being cleared. With all of these files that are coming from Jeffrey Epstein, people are starting to see the truth. But the thing is, I feel like a lot of people are just, even though they're exposed to the truth, they're still a bit desensitized to it. They're just like, yeah, I mean,
complacent.
It's they're just, it's just flaccid. There's no real reaction to it. Okay, there are people who do speak about it, but a lot of them are also the same people who were talking about it from before. They already were mentioning, like,
Right.
this is happening. This is we've been noticing. And now that the truth is out, people are still just like, yeah, that's really bad, but what can we do about it? I mean,
Right.
so what
And
would you
that's the
say
most
to those people?
disheartening thing too. I would say, I mean, nothing's going to change with that kind of attitude. If you're just complacent, you're like, oh, well, what are we going to do about it anyway? That's the exact kind of attitude that's not going to get us anywhere. People aren't angry enough. People
Right.
aren't upset enough. People aren't saying enough. People aren't doing enough. And yes, it's gotten better. More people are speaking out, and that's a great thing. But I think there needs to be even more. We need to really come together and join hands and just, stop fighting each other, because that's what they want. Their motto is divide and conquer. So as long as we're fighting each other, we're doing the dirty work for them, right? Yeah.
There should be a community for truth seekers. Like I feel like
There
the
should
truth
be.
seekers are very independent and very solo people. We should find a way to kind of like
Yeah.
maybe connect them and just like build a community around them, similar to like the comedians, but
Maybe we
maybe
can.
more serious, on a serious tone.
Right. I agree. Maybe not make the serious things a joke, because it's not a joke. It's actually it is really serious.
Right.
But yeah, we definitely need to come together And to the people who are just very complacent and don't feel like they can do anything, you don't understand your power. And you need to know that you do have that power, and you do have the power to say something and do something. You just need to command it. You know what I mean? That's it.
Have you ever changed someone's mind through your streams or your content? I know that's hard to measure, but if you have an example.
I mean, I'm not sure. I think I don't know. I'm not sure.
It's hard to measure with these things.
It is. It is hard to measure.
We do a podcast too, and it's like, it's what we notice sometimes, the IRL stuff, when people come to us and tell us that, hey, this podcast changed the way I see so and so topic. That's when for us it gets more real.
Right.
Meaningful.
Right. And that's always rewarding too, is when somebody's like, oh my God, I love what you're doing. Or yeah, you helped me change my view, or like open my mind a little bit. That's always a rewarding thing. You know what I mean?
That's why we do it.
It pushes you to,
yeah.
Right. It pushes you to keep doing it. Because like in the end,
exactly,
as long as you're providing value to your audience and you're like helping people, or at least trying to help people, I think you do eventually see the rewards. It's just it's a tough journey. It's something that you have to consistently
it's an uphill battle.
It's like,
for sure.
You feel like you're constantly fighting, and it's also like a lot of it's mental as well. So you just, but when you do hear those comments, like Ali was mentioning, it's a bit of a sigh of relief. It's like, okay, I'm not doing this for nothing. There's something that's coming out of it. There's an outcome. There's a result, and it kind of feeds into the purpose that you are trying to fulfill, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. I definitely have a lot of people saying, that they love the content, that they love what I'm doing. And I've had so many people share my stuff too, which is also amazing. Like that ripple effect is just, it's so nice to see, and it's so rewarding. I have people posting my stuff reposting it on Facebook and Twitter, and like tagging me, or I'll have friends be like, yo, I just saw somebody else post your video. And it's so cool. I'm like, what? That's so dope. Yeah.
That's great. Like, yeah, exactly. That's how it works. That's how you beat the algorithm. That's how it's done. Ali?
Well, I was gonna just end with our time and ask, what's next for you in your journey, Sierra?
What's next for me? I'm hopefully going to be starting my own podcast soon.
Amazing.
So I'm starting to work things out with that. And yeah, that's basically the next step. I'd love to have my own podcast and bring guests on and kind of pick their brains. I've always been interested in talking to people and, like I said, seeking knowledge and truth. And I think that having my own podcast would be a good way to do that. So that's the plan. You heard it here first.
Let us know if you need any help with that, or
exclusively.
Oh, that's so cute. Thank you. I appreciate that.
We've been doing it for a while.
Okay, awesome. I would love that. Thank you guys so much. You guys are so kind.
Anything else?
And welcome to the community.
I'll let you sign
formally.
Thank you. You guys are awesome.
Sarah, thank you so much for joining us on the pod.
Okay, twinkle fingers.
It's been great talking to you.
Thank you, Saeed. Thank you, Ali. It was so nice to meet you guys and talk to you guys. You guys are a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Guys, thank you for watching another episode of A2 The Show. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Bye.
Peace.